You're listening to the Life Coaching Secrets Podcast, episode number 26. Did you know that life coaches are needed now more than ever? I'm Frank Macri, founder of Thriving Coach Academy. I've trained over 1,000 coaches and helped them launch their own successful coaching businesses. If you want to make an incredible income and impact as a coach and have a lot of fun doing it, I'll show you exactly how to get it done. This is Life Coaching Secrets. What's up, coaches? In this episode, I'm going to talk about how to become a client magnet. Doesn't that sound amazing? So it's been a little bit of time since I have released a podcast episode, and a lot has changed in my life, a lot of exciting change. The biggest change is I am relocating across the United States. I'm moving from Seattle to my brand new home in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I will share a lot more about what went into that decision in later episodes. I'm getting very excited for this move and will be transitioning my life to the South over the next month. Now, I also want to give a shout out to a couple of our coaches who are crushing it lately. Karen and Tess recently signed on their very first paying clients. So big shout out to Karen and Tess. That is amazing. And all of our other coaches who are almost crossing that finish line. We have a cohort of coaches that are right about to receive their certification. So big kudos to our coaches who are getting it done. All right. So let's talk about client magnetism and what I mean by that. I started using this concept of becoming a client magnet early on when I was building up my coaching practice because I used to feel like the opposite of a client magnet. In fact, I felt like I had a force field around me that would repel people from wanting to hire me. I actually walked around the world and brought this negative attitude into my business. I thought no matter what I was doing, people were just repelled and didn't want to work with me. And I was able to come up with, after a lot of trial and error, I was able to realize that it wasn't me. It wasn't anything about my personality, my age, my appearance. There was nothing that was wrong with me. It was just that I hadn't tapped into what client magnetism really is. I hadn't figured it out. And I was able to discover exactly what allows clients to literally flock to you. And I call this process client magnetism. It's when you show up and clients are ready to get started right away. They are just so attracted to you. They want to hire you, they want to pay you, they want to get going immediately. Now, inside Thriving Coach Academy, one of the coolest things I think we offer our students is they get an entire business development course that is called the Client Magnet Masterclass. And it's a whole step-by-step on exactly what coaches can do to magnetize clients right to you. So that way you don't have to go about in the world with a certification having no clue why clients aren't hiring you. So there are certain qualities that you must embody in order to become a client magnet. This is the very first step to take, is knowing what the qualities are and starting to embody them and bring those qualities into your business and the way you market yourself. And one of those qualities, maybe the most important quality to have, is curiosity. Now, curiosity, I define that as observing something without judgment. So that's how I define curiosity, observing something without judgment. And what I love about curiosity, when you're truly tapped into this quality, is that nothing is ever seen as a problem in your business. Nothing has ever gone wrong when you approach it with curiosity. Instead of seeing anything as a problem, you see everything that happens as an opportunity to learn, as an invitation for you to grow. So if you get curious enough times, you will become a millionaire as a coach. You get curious enough times, you become a millionaire. Now, of course, it's important to also act on your curiosity. But curiosity is that first step, so that way you can assess exactly what actions that you can take to move your business forward. Now, it's important to bring curiosity to all stages of your business. All of the stages that your clients are first hearing about you to first engaging with you, all the way through their whole process of working with you. It's so important to bring curiosity to all those stages. Now, a lot of coaches, what happens when they do something and they don't get a result they want is they get confused, they get frustrated, and usually they stop. And I've heard a lot of coaches that will use a lot of black or white, all or nothing thinking. They'll just by default start to think everything's broken, everything's a mess, my business isn't working. But oftentimes it's just a little curiosity that will get you through. Now, one of the metaphors that I use to think about running a business is I see running a business like setting up a bunch of water pipes. Now, the water is abundant. It's always flowing. You've just got to figure out exactly how to fix all the pipes and remove all the leaks in order for the water to flow from start to finish. Now, in the case of your business, the water is representing your clients and all the money that you want to make. So you just got to make sure that all the pipes are functioning properly. Now, at first, when you are establishing your business, there's going to be a lot of leaks. There's going to be a lot of parts of the pipes that are going to need your examination and your curiosity. But eventually, you will get to a point where everything flows so beautifully. Now, when I talk about this metaphor, I think about those pipe puzzle games. I don't know if you've ever seen those. I remember maybe it was like older versions of Windows 2000. They had those games where you had a starting point and an end point, and there were all of these tiles of pipes, and you had to keep adjusting and turning the tiles around so that way the water just flowed from beginning to end. You had to figure out how to arrange them. So I always think about that whenever I talk about the pipe metaphor. And what I love about seeing your business as just a series of pipes that you've got to arrange is that you remember that the water is always there. The flow of the water is the natural state. You don't have to go looking for that flow of water. The water is abundant. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be there no matter what. So you don't have to wait for the water to show up. And you can also trust that it's never going to go away. But the thing is, the water is only going to flow as far as you allow it to, given how willing and curious you are to fix it. So your business will grow as much as you allow it to grow, given how curious you are at every single stage, at every single pipe that's going from start to finish. Now, I also want you to consider that you cannot be confused and curious at the same time. Think about that. You can't be confused and overwhelmed and curious at the same time. It's like when I also say you can't blame something and grow at the same time as well. Right when you tap into curiosity, you start opening yourself up to new solutions, new possibilities, new ideas. When you shut yourself down by just saying, I'm confused, you just take out the opportunity to get curious and start looking at things differently. So here are the 5 phases of your coaching business that I'm going to cover in this episode. I'm going to talk about how to bring curiosity into these 5 stages. The first phase is if you have no idea what you should be doing. Maybe you're at the very beginning and you're just stuck in the I don't know what to do. The second stage is if you are producing some content or value, but you're not having any engagement with it. So it just feels like you're putting things out into the world, but you're hearing crickets. The third stage is if you're getting engagement, people are engaging with your work, but they're not booking calls with you. They're not having consultations with you. The fourth stage is if you are getting people that are booking consultations with you, but they're canceling or they're not showing up to those calls. And the fifth stage I'm going to talk about is if you have clients that are working with you, but they're giving up or they're quitting or they're just losing momentum. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what it would look like to apply curiosity to all of these 5 stages. And the reason why it is so important to bring curiosity into all parts of your coaching business is because curiosity sparks creativity, right? When you get curious, you start generating new ideas. You start coming up with new possibilities, and then everything gets exciting right away. I've had moments in my own business whenever I feel myself dipping into frustration or overwhelm or doubt, once I snap into curiosity, things get very exciting. I start coming up with new ideas, and I just remember that everything's available to me as long as I stay curious. So when you take the approach that I'm going to share with you here, you're never going to feel stuck in your coaching business. You're going to do something in your business, you're going to get a result, and then you get curious about that result, and then you repeat the process. That's it. That is like the key to making however much you want to earn as a coach. You do something, you get a result, you get curious about that result, and you repeat it. A lot of coaches don't get curious about the results. They look at their results and decide either it was a good result or a bad result. And if it's a bad result, they just shut down. Okay? So you will only get stuck, overwhelmed, or confused when you stop getting curious. Okay, so here we go. I'm so excited to share this with you. Let's start with stage 1. So the first stage is you have no idea what you should be doing. You maybe don't know where to start. You're thinking, I don't know where to find clients. So here's what curiosity looks like in that stage. It looks like asking yourself, I'm going to give you for all these stages the questions that you want to be asking yourself. One question is, how can I be meeting more people right now? How can I be meeting more people? It's very simple. Just start asking yourself, what are ways that you could be meeting more people? How could you be adding more value to their lives? Okay. You might also want to consider, where are people already gathering? Where are people already gathering? And then how could you put yourself, your message, in front of those people? You also want to think about, how could you be making offers? How can you show the people, all the peoples, how can you be showing them that you can help them? I also like the question, how can you make it easier for people to find you? How could you make it easier for people to find you? Okay? So the name of the game at this stage is meeting people, adding value to their lives, and making offers to help them. And when I say adding value to their lives, I mean value could come in different ways. It could be you sharing your own perspective, your own stories, your experiences, your successes, your failures, right? That's a form of sharing value. Value could also be you listening to someone, just being there and focusing on someone else and helping them better understand their own challenges and giving them your attention. Attention is incredibly valuable. And another way and form that you could offer value is by helping to give people perspective, right? It could just helping people understand where they might be getting in their own way, where they might be self-sabotaging, and giving them new perspectives or new ways they could reframe challenges that they're going through in their life. This is all valuable, and this is going to help people get little micro results, micro shifts. And when they start getting value, they're going to want to get more of that value. They're going to want to stay engaged and connected with you. Now, in order to be someone that creates value, you need to first have a self-concept that you are a value creator. You must see yourself as a valuable person. Okay, so it might be helpful for you to start trying on that thought if you don't already think that you really have much to offer. Just start thinking, I am valuable. I am a creator of value, and see what that starts to generate for you. Start asking yourself, why are you valuable? That could be a key question. Just in what ways are you valuable right now? What is the value that you have to give? And why is that value going to be so impactful for others? Okay, so those are questions that you can ask yourself in stage 1. That's a way you could bring curiosity to that beginning stage of your coaching business. The second stage is if you are sharing value, you're putting work out there, but you are not getting any engagement. You're hearing the crickets, okay? So here are some ways that you could bring curiosity to this stage. One question, this is usually the problem here, or the challenge, is around your audience, okay? It's around really understanding what is the audience wanting. So some questions you can ask. First of all, how is your audience? What are they like? How can you better understand them? Maybe you are not quite hitting on exactly what it is that speaks to them. So what opportunities do you have to better understand your audience? How could you listen to them a little bit more? How could you better understand exactly what are their key pain points? And how would they describe what they're going through in their words, okay? Another thing to consider is, what are some ways that you can write or share words or phrases that can better capture your people's attention? So how could you better hook people's attention? In marketing, this is called having a pattern interrupt. So if you think about how a lot of people are scrolling online, they're just mindlessly scrolling through their feeds. And then eventually something captures their attention and they stop scrolling. Their thumb stops moving on their phone, right? You want to have that impact on people as they're going through all the different things that there are online. So maybe you have amazing content that you're putting out there, but you're not really hooking people at the very beginning. You're not capturing their attention right away. So what words or phrases are the most compelling? How could you hook someone right away? How could you speak to a more specific problem that they're facing in their words? And then another question to consider is, how urgent is the problem that you're hitting on? How relevant is it really to them? So those are questions to ask yourself if you're getting stuck in stage 2. If you notice that the water's flowing a little bit, but you're seeing that it's getting stuck here. People are not engaging with your work. Okay, so stage 3 is you are getting engagement from the work, the content, the things that you're putting out into the world. People might be, engaging with it, but you're not having anyone book calls with you. They're not taking you up on whatever call to action you have. They're not having consultations with you, all right? So here's how you apply curiosity if this is where you find yourself getting a bit stuck. The first question to ask is, how is your call to action on the content that you're producing? You might not even have a call to action. So it might be starting there. What is a really compelling call to action that you can put in your content? Okay. Now, if you already have a call to action, you want to bring curiosity to how well are you communicating the value of that call to action? How well are you creating a reason for people to act now? This is a big one, right? You might have a really amazing call to action, but you might not be giving people that sense of urgency around it, or maybe there's no scarcity with it as well. If people just think, I can just get to that whenever, then they don't really have a reason to take action on it right away. Another question to bring to the stage is, how could you make your call to action simpler? How could you make it more clear for them to understand exactly the value of it and what they're going to get from taking that call to action? So for example, if you have a post, if you're like a relationship coach and you have this amazing post on the 5 things to the 5 red flags to avoid when dating, and you have this amazing post and it's getting lots of engagement, and at the end of that post, maybe you have something that says, want to learn more? Book a call with me right now so we could talk more about so we can have a 60-minute consultation, right? That's not a very compelling call to action. It's not really clear why anyone would devote 60 minutes to talk to you because they have no idea what they're going to get from that call. So how can you clearly better articulate the value of that call to action? What is it that they're going to get? Maybe at the end of your post, you have something that sounds more like this. You might say, so does this sound like you? Are you someone that you feel like you're just dating over and over again and you keep finding red flags right away? Are you worried that if this continues that you're not going to end up finding the love of your life and creating the future that you want to create with them? And do you really want to find that person that just lights up your soul, that you feel like is your true teammate? And do you realize why now is the best time to do that because you're not willing to, waste another second going on another date that doesn't serve you? If this sounds like you, then I would love to invite you to a dating breakthrough call where we're going to pinpoint exactly what you're looking for, why you're not getting it, and I'm going to lay out the perfect framework for you to know how to find the person of your dreams. So that's just one example. Of course, I would word it a little bit differently. I just shared it off the top of my head. But do you see how that might have a much different impact than if you just say, hey, book a consultation with me and let's talk, right? So you want to make sure that you are articulating the value of that call to action so people are inspired to actually click on whatever it is you're doing and then book a call because they see it as worth their time. And then another thing to bring into this stage is how could you make it simpler for people to connect with you? So how many hoops are they currently needing to go through in order to just get on the phone with you? Do they have to click lots of different things? Is it a complicated process? Make it so simple and clear. And it might just be a very minor change you make that has such a huge impact, right? Like it might even just be, let's say that, for example, you have a very complicated URL for people to go book a call with you. And it's just very hard to remember that URL. Maybe you have a way to just clean up and simplify the actual URL so that way people can remember it. and it's easier for them to access that link without the link breaking or them typing the wrong thing. So that's the level of curiosity I'm talking about here. How can you make it simpler for people to actually connect with you? All right. So the fourth stage is you have people that are booking consults, but they're not showing up to the calls. So this is, I can imagine, could be very frustrating because you might feel like I'm getting so close, but they're not showing up to the calls. Again, nothing has gone wrong. You just got to get curious. So one question to ask is, how can I offer value and stay connected between the time that someone books and the time of their consult? How can I offer value and stay connected between the time they book and the time of their consult? Just ask your brain that and give it some time to generate those ideas. Sometimes when you ask yourself these questions that I'm presenting to you, the brain just says, I don't know. But you've got to keep asking it, right? Sometimes it takes a few minutes for the engine to turn on again. And it's a little bit rusty, especially if you haven't been applying curiosity to your business for a while. Your brain's probably going to say, I don't know, but you got to keep asking it. And eventually you start to come up with ideas. And it's going to get to a point where you're going to have so many ideas if you're just willing to be patient with your curiosity. And another question to ask yourself at this stage is, how can I keep my audience engaged before they get to the consultation? So it might be something simple, like just having them receive a phone call reminder. It might be giving them some kind of before the call guide or video that gets them really excited and even more eager to connect with you. Just think about how often we might schedule things in our calendar right now, and then we just forget that we had it on the calendar. We're like, wait, what was that thing I booked 3 weeks ago? Right? So it just might be giving them little snippets of value between the time they booked the call and the time of the actual call. All right, the final stage. You've got clients. Things are going very well, but you're finding that your clients are losing their momentum. They are quitting, they're giving up, they stop showing up to your sessions. So I remember this came up with one of our coaches recently in the academy. She was having this issue where people were just about a few weeks into working with her, they would stop. And she thought, oh, it's just the coaching's getting too difficult for them. It's going too deep. And, I just need to let them have their time. But I asked her, like, did your clients actually tell you that? Or is it something that you might be assuming? And she said, no, I haven't asked them that. And it was really great when we talked about this, because this coach realized that she could get a lot more curious with this stage of her business. So here are some questions that you want to ask yourself if you're finding that your clients are losing momentum or quitting, or they're not following through to the end. One question is, at what point in your coaching are people quitting? Maybe there's a theme, right? So if you're coaching someone over a long period of time, maybe, usually you coach people for three months, let's say, and you notice that by month 2, their momentum starts to dip. Okay, it doesn't mean that anything's gone wrong or that you're a bad coach or anything. It just means that they might need a little bit of a boost. They might need some extra resources and support at that time. So some questions you can ask is, how can you check in with your clients to see why their momentum is going down, or why they're quitting, why they stop showing up? Get curious. Their answers are going to give you so much insight, right? And then how can you hold them more accountable to the process? How could you hold them more accountable? How could you support them in seeing their progress along the way? That's sometimes a big game changer. When your clients can start seeing the small wins that they're having, when they have a way to measure the progress that they're making, they won't see that their time is being wasted. They're going to actually be inspired by accumulating lots of small wins. So a question to bring into this stage of your business is, how can you help your clients recognize their small wins earlier on? Okay? What are some resources that you can provide to your clients and your future clients to keep their confidence and their momentum high? Right? What are some resources or tools that you can give them to bump up their commitment, to accelerate their success? So a personal example of how I have used the curiosity piece to clean up this part of my coaching business over the years, I was noticing that sometimes clients they'd book the first handful of sessions and they would show up, and then they would no longer book sessions with me. And for a long time, I thought maybe their life got in the way, or, I wasn't coaching them well enough. I had all these stories that I just assumed, and I didn't get curious. And then I finally did get curious, and I realized that I didn't have an expiration date on my sessions. So people were thinking, I'll just save my sessions much later in the year. And what would end up happening is clients would book these calls months after the previous call, and there'd be so much we had to catch up on, and it wasn't ideal for them getting amazing results. So one of the changes I made is I put an expiration date on the sessions, and I kept the sessions, the availability period for sessions in a very contained window. So for instance, if they had maybe 12 sessions, those sessions would expire within 3 to 4 months. So it held them accountable to keep the sessions going, so that way they didn't just get comfortable and push the sessions off. They actually leaned in and booked more sessions when things might have gotten uncomfortable for them to do so. And the result of that is they would get much better results in their life. So that's one change I made. Another change was I noticed when I was doing some group coaching that about a few months into 6-month group coaching programs, my clients, their momentum would slip. So what I did is I would give them surveys to complete at certain checkpoints over the 6 months. And the surveys were designed to help them recognize their small wins and also to assess where their level of commitment was, and then give them ways that they could basically self-coach themselves to have more commitment. So I would ask them questions like, what's the biggest win that you have so far? What's something you want to acknowledge yourself for? What do you find to be the biggest thing that's getting in your way right now? And then what could you remind yourself of to overcome that and stay committed? So I found that when I started giving my clients this little booster survey just to boost their commitment, they were the percentage of clients that kept showing up just shot through the roof. It went up so much higher, right? So you want to think about if your clients their momentum's fading, they're not really committing to the entire process. What resources can you provide them to keep their confidence high the moment that the confidence starts to dip, the moment that their momentum starts to fade, all right? So that is how you can apply curiosity into your coaching business to become a client magnet. Isn't that amazing? Hopefully that helps you really see the different ways that you can really get over all of these blocks that are getting in your way right now. And I want to end by saying that when you have curiosity in your business, I think one of the most beautiful results of bringing curiosity is you no longer see anything that you do as a waste of time. Nothing that you do, no action that you do, no strategy that you implement, you will never again see it as a waste of time, because you will extract so much learning from every single thing you do. When you have curiosity about your coaching business, every action you take is a stepping stone that's going to inch you closer and closer and closer to getting that end result that you ultimately want. So if you're feeling like you're throwing things at the wall and some things are sticking, some things aren't sticking, or you just feel like what you're doing is very random and haphazard, I want you to take the questions that I presented in this episode and start bringing those questions and this level of curiosity into your business, so that way you start extracting all the value and the data and the insights that your current results are giving you right now. You can't learn unless you open yourself up to learning. And there's so much available for you to learn right now, and that can exponentially increase as you get more curious. All right, that's what I got for this episode on how to become a client magnet. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey, would you like access to powerful coaching tools you can use on yourself and clients right away? For being a listener of the podcast, I'm giving you a VIP guest pass to get a sneak peek into my coach training program. Inside, you'll learn our coach's secret tool they use to transform their clients' lives. And you'll also get a training on how to launch a coaching business. Just head over to www.thrivingcoachacademy.com/VIP to get started. I'll see you on the inside.